we have to work together. You know what I mean? If they have to give us something, we have to give something too.
Hey gang, I'm Alex with the Community Project. I'm here with Beth and Kerby, a couple buddies of mine. You guys been out in the street for a little while here, huh?
Yeah.
In Boulder. What's that like?
It's scary.
Yeah, I imagine.
Exciting. Exhilarating. I think it's all the emotions, really.
How did you end up without a home?
Well, I first became homeless in the inflation. I was running from a couple for about 8 years, and then they wanted to move their family in, and they could get about 3 times the amounts than what we were paying. So, yeah.
So you were renting?
Yeah.
So, but you travel around, and what do you do for a living?
I do psychology contracts throughout the United States.
So in a care facility? What type of facility? Is it an institution?
Inpatient.
Okay. That must be an interesting job.
Yes, it is. Right.
But you've had a couple of rough incidents out here that made it a little harder now to find work, to get to feel comfortable working, I guess?
Yes, I was traumatized. Someone tried to kidnap me and rob me a couple times, and so I was traumatized for that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's I don't know how far in you want to get to that, but they got as far as opening your car door and
had a mask with something on it. Yeah.
Wow.
And Kerby had the machete.
You travel with.
Well, you know, that's the thing.
Protection.
When you're sitting in your car, you know, and it's your mate, you know, and you see a man come up to your door with a mask that probably had ether or something on it, and he's blatantly opened the door trying to pull her out of the car, man.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? I mean, at that point, you're going to defend your mate.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's one of those things. I didn't plan on that to happen, but you that's just out here on the street. You have to be prepared for those moments.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but I mean, like right now, I'm just so traumatized that I couldn't, work right now because you have to be on your A game.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility, and you have to not be in flight mode or fight mode. And you have to have a good, calm nervous system. Kerb, what about you? How'd you end up in this situation?
So for me, it started when I was a youngster. I left Colorado. Actually, I lost my dad. He got hurt in a work-related accident. And so that was the beginning of me becoming homeless. And from that point on, I pretty much raised myself, stumbled through life, through different states, and then eventually ended up back here. Met Beth here in Boulder, you know what I mean? And that's when we took off and went to Massachusetts, and then our story began. And then, that's kind of how it's been.
How long have you guys been together?
We just celebrated our anniversary here
on Easter.
Yeah, last
1 year?
Easter.
Yeah.
1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thank you. We were friends first, so.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, trauma bonding friends, kind of put those together like that.
So you guys, you have some you camp out in your car right now, right? Is there any challenges around that? I know Boulder's has camping bans, and they have people moving every week. What is it like in the car?
They just basically said we can't stay at the library anymore.
Oh, they did?
Yes, because there's a lot
But
of
it's still,
traffic.
it's, they know our situation. We have some issues with our car legally. So, we've been transparent about that with them. So due to that fact, they made some exceptions with us. But the general rule is that you move your car around. you know. And the hardships is no bathrooms right after 10 o'clock.
Right.
There's no bathrooms. So when you're in a car, where do you go stop to go to the bathroom? You know, a lot of places if you look like you're homeless or you pull up in your car after 10 o'clock, they're not going to let you use the restroom. You know, that's what the hardships that we have. One of the hardships that we have out here. So, we used to carry a bucket around and a tarp for her, stuff like that. There's things that you learn, being on the streets, that you learn to adapt and carry and do things, And the golden rule is you usually don't carry more than you on your back than is needed for what you use. But with a car, you'll start accumulating more than you need. So you have to always learn to keep reminding yourself to downsize and remember that you can go back to the street at any time to that backpack and that one bag again. So you have to keep that mindset at all times, and it's, we're grateful because we have a shelter. We're one step up from people on the street that have to find a place to sleep at night. But there is a whole nother mindset to that too. I have to think of gasoline. I have to think of, insurance. I have to think of maintenance on the vehicle, plus I have to think of people trying to rob and steal and get into my vehicle because it is a vehicle. You know what I mean? So there's a whole nother level of security issues there when we're sleeping in our car at night, because we're in our car at night, we are a target. So there's a whole nother level to that. Yeah. So there's pros and cons to it.
That's I didn't think about all the costs associated with, I know I have a car and I know there's costs associated with it, but how do you guys raise money to do all this stuff that you have to do for your car?
Well, you got to be a good gator salesman. Selling swamp gas, right? You use your resources. What you do, you barter, you trade, you give rides, you do what you got,
Yeah, basically we just give rides.
For us, we have a vehicle. So we, that's a golden thing. People don't have a means to have rides. They need a ride to the hospital or an appointment. Hey, Kerby, we'll give you a couple bucks. Can you give me a ride? Absolutely. Guess what? There's our money. That's how we make our money.
Street taxi.
Yeah, street taxi.
All
Kerby
right.
Cash,
like
Kerby
that.
Cab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Curbside cab. And then it's little things like that, or we're sitting at the park and they see us sitting there and we're babysitting. Hey, can you watch my bag? I got to go somewhere. Sure. For a measly fee.
Yeah.
And out here, that's how everybody knows we have to have a hustle. Everybody knows there's a cost or a fee for something. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Now, for everybody that's on the street and the fam, the homies, we all give a discount, but if it's somebody we don't know and they come up to us, you're going to get full street price.
Yeah.
But, if it's somebody we know, they're going to get a family price. They're going to get a good deal. Or, we're not going to be, out here trying to rape them and kill them but because everybody's out here trying to make amends. I don't fly signs, for disabled vet and you see me pushing a wheelchair, no bullshit. You know what I mean? I used to fly signs that would be destinations, Omaha, Nebraska. If you see me flying a sign, it's gas money to get somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's deception. I can sit and just talk to people and God's always taken care of us like that. We've never had to be deceitful. We just sit and talk to people and they just seem to be attracted to us and we help when we can and we get blessings for that.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You guys have been around here for a year?
A little over,
in Boulder?
Coming up on that, yeah.
What's the scene like? Is it dangerous?
Yes. I've dealt with a stalker, and then the kidnapping. He got shot with a CO2 gun. Someone tried to pull a knife out on him. So yeah, people get sad.
That was just yesterday.
No, I mean, yeah, that was just, tune in for tomorrow. Tune in, it's like sit down with a bag of popcorn, man. We don't have TV out here. You don't need it. You can sit down and watch the action every day. The street out here, that's the thing is we have our own justice and it all happens after dark. So unfortunately around after dark, when the sun goes down, we've seen people walking when we first got here, what was it? Some guy got stabbed for walking his dog. by some crazy guy with a knife.
Jeez.
And the guy was walking his dog through the park, and some guy was coming through the park and was just slashing people and slashed the guy. Okay. That was the first night I think we showed up here in town. We're like, holy crap. Okay. Wow. And then you can just hear, it just it gets that way sporadically, and at night, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, but the people that are stuck on some of these drugs like the fentanyl and those things, man, you see the horrors of it when they don't have it and they're going through detox for it, and the monsters they become, and they yell, they scream, they have tantrums, and they will like flash mob destroy, and they're like Cujo. And it gets to the point where they come at you to where you have to put them down. It's that bad. Like violently, you have to seriously protect yourself and put them down. And that's the sick part of it, is you have to distinguish out here is that that they're sick and that they're in detox, and that mentally they're not there. But they're coming at you with a weapon too. They're trying to hurt you or your mate. So you know what I mean? At that point, it's self-defense. So you know what I mean?
These are people probably.
Yeah, and that you see out on the street every day, right at the feeds, and you know what I mean? You see them under the bridge all the time getting high when you pass by them. You see them every day. So you know who they are and what they are, and it's just a shame, but that's the life, man. That's what you see every day out here on the street,
That has to take its toll on you.
Yeah, it does.
Psychologically.
Yeah, it does.
I feel like I'm at work.
And a lot of that is these people are traumatized because they're getting chased around every week, and they don't, since it's become illegal, to be homeless, we're being chased around like refugees in our own country. And so every week we get told to move around.
When you say it's illegal, you're referring to the camping ban?
Yeah, well, and the Supreme Court making it illegal to be, homeless and camping, that in that aspect too. The Grants Pass thing with Oregon, the whole thing that's how bad it's getting, and all the states are jumping on board now with that, to where they're making it illegal and for camping, and they're using that as an excuse to chase the homeless around and make us refugees, man, in our own country. Every week and the psychological of that, the trauma of that we see, and that a lot of these people are already stressed to the max. And when you put that on top of them, they snap, and then they become these Walking Dead zombies that are on drugs that are stuck underneath and that's what we have to try to walk through and fish through every day.
You guys are out here. You're trying to help folks when you can, right? What does that look like? How do you help people out?
Well, it's first off, it's no judgment, and you just tell them that we have water, food, medical supplies, blankets, and we treat them like humans. You know what I mean? Talk to them just like me and you, bro, and it doesn't matter. And when they got scabs on their face and they ain't got no shoes, hey, man, come here, bro, sit down. We talk to you like you're my brother. And sometimes that's all they need is just somebody to care, like just enough to care about them that much. And that's when they see that, then they're attracted to us. And then because nobody out here talks to them like that. And that's why they're attracted to us, and the persona on the street is when they see people on the street, they see us like that. And we look like drug dealers because everybody comes to our car, but they don't understand. We're not drug dealers. We're drug dealers for God. Come and see me and talk to me. Even the police know who we are. Everybody knows who we are and what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're giving out supplies. We're giving out love. We're trying to bring people to church. We're trying to make that connection between the police and the homeless. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. But when you see us from afar, you see a crowd of people around my car. That's what you see. You know what I mean? Oh, those are the bad guys, right? Because they're all the homeless. And they're around that guy's car. He's got to be the drug dealer. You know what I mean? He's got to be the guy that's influencing it. He's got to be the one, right? They don't understand. They don't want to come up and talk to you. They don't know. It's perception. And their perception of who you are. And that's what's wrong in the world. Right there. That's one of our biggest things, right? We're profiling people. You don't even know who you are.
Beth, you help out. Like you guys have a bunch of youngsters, I guess, huh? Not your own youngsters, but a band of kiddos that you help out.
Yes. We feel like we have 50 kids out here. So we mentor them, and they just need a little bit of guidance.
And these guys, you're trying to keep all these guys off the the hard drugs. Is that
yeah,
right?
trying to get them into, life.
Yeah.
Go back to school and, so do something with their life instead of stealing, So, but they're learning. They're just like little children that don't listen sometimes.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Having assessed the situation as you guys have, what do you think, or what would be the number one change you would make if we could make an easy change here?
Maybe have a place for the addicts to go so they don't have needles and stuff out.
Yeah, this is the thing is they're all about harm reduction out here, right? They go around and pass out all these new utensils for them, and they're all about promoting, safe usage of all of that stuff. So, but they don't give a place. They want all of them to, but they don't give a place. You're going to have, this is the thing, man. Addiction is like homelessness. It's a wave. And when this wave's gone, you're going to have a whole new wave. And what that last wave had is not going to be the same as what this new wave needs. So addiction is different with every person, and they're all going to need a spot to go. If you don't want to see them in your beautiful eye candy, as we call it, your downtown areas, and you know what I mean? You got to give them a spot to go because they're going to be there anyway. And you know what I mean? This is the thing when people don't understand. And if you give them a spot to go, and you know what I mean? And let them know that that's a safe zone, like they're starting to find out that these places work.
And it reduces crime. So
probably you don't want your kids running over needles and
exactly.
Yeah, it'd probably reduce the harm to the general community immensely.
Yeah, and maybe having more activities to do.
Stuff that you can bring the community together with the homeless community to where we're having fun and you don't even realize that you're talking or playing with the guy who's homeless.
So I'm hearing kind of helping people feel
like a human again.
Yeah, reintegration into society type of activities.
Just normal fun, man. Flying a kite outside like this, just frisbee, barbecue with people, interaction. Those are things that we know work. We've been through that with enough people to see the smiles and see the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And when we leave towns, different towns and how it works, we take little pieces of that with us when we go and try to apply that, to the next town and then to help the next people and the next wave.
Yeah. You were talking earlier about the restroom situation, how hard that is.
Yes.
Is there something simple that could happen that could maybe solve that?
So we were thinking of a bathroom all night that we could use. Unfortunately, some people have destroyed the bathrooms. So I think that maybe it needs to be regulated.
Or even if it's to where we get porta potties out here and we even do our part on the street, show how we're committed and we police them ourselves. We have a man and a woman there standing guard as a job, making sure that people aren't in there ODing and disrespecting and just using those up. So people do have a safe spot to go to the bathroom. That way, it's showing the community that we're willing to do our part too. And that's what I see. Yep. That's how it has to work. We have to work together. You know what I mean? If they have to give us something, we have to give something too.
Have you guys encountered any places that you can go into work for a day or?
Not out here. The biggest thing that we found out here is people don't have IDs and they don't have access to their IDs. And ever since COVID, it seems like, Colorado, I remember they used to be able to get your ID right away, laminated with your card out the door. And since COVID, it seemed like they stopped doing that. I don't know if that's everywhere, but that's a big deal with people out here. And with them not being able to have an ID and they're not able to progress. So they can't get a phone, they can't step up, they can't get a job, they can't motivate to do what they need to do. So what are they going to do? Well, you got to do what you got to do to survive, right? You're going to go in a store, you're going to eat what you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That being said, on the flip side of that, if we can get back to that, those are little steps that can help people. Let's get that going again. Let's get easier access to IDs. Let's go back to the fingerprint thing, man. Fingerprints are good for everything else. When you go to jail and everything else, man, stick your fingerprint up there. You know who we are. That's good enough for an ID. Let's get it printed up that day. Let's get them that ID so they can get out and get progression. That's a big step. That is huge.
I've talked to some folks that
that is a huge
months.
step to help people out here. You want to hear them? That's a big one, man.
Yeah.
That's a really big one out here. That helped people a lot. That being said, then the bathroom thing. Those are two big things that can really, help make a difference. That are small little things that you said. That what are little things that we could do right now that we've had before. That they still have right here. Those machines are still there, dude. They can still turn those things on. We can still get this system back in play. It's not that hard to get this back going again.
Yeah.
So we just need to talk to the right people and get it going again. And we can get this going. And I'm telling you, a lot of people out here, you want to see progression. You help people get their IDs, and man, they can, and watch how fast they'll do it on their own.
I'm not sure everyone would understand why that's important. Do you want to explain why?
Well, to have an ID, you got to have an ID to get a phone. You got to have a phone to get a job. These days, to do labor ready and all that, you do everything through your app.
Yeah.
Since COVID, everything's on apps. You take bids on your app. You don't go into the store. You don't go into the shop and sit at the shop and early board at 4:30 in the morning. First bird there gets the job. You do it all on your phone and you take bids. So you don't get a phone if you don't have an ID or an address. To have an ID, you got to establish who you are. And everything these days is ID.
Wow.
You have to have an ID. You know what I mean?
So you can't work unless you have an ID.
Social Security card ID, right? And now with our...
You can't get your ID unless you have a Social Security card.
Right. And now, sir, with our president, right? And everything going on. Now he's really wanting that going on. And if you're not an American and you don't have your stuff, you know what I'm saying? Even us having a hard time, I know, guys that were born in this country. Okay, his parents fought for this country, but they have birth certificates, Social Security card, everything, and still can't get an ID. Why is that? He has everything he needs, but he still can't get an ID. And this kid's 20 years old. Why can't he get an ID? 20-year-old kid. It makes no sense to me. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But somehow we got to fix that, man. That's a big deal. And that's a little thing that we can fix. Okay?
You guys are in a rough situation, and to get out of it, you got to climb over some massive obstacles.
Yes.
Yeah. But the ID opens up everything. Driver's license, jobs, apartments, you know what I mean? Everything. Because you have to have an ID for a credit card, a bank account. Come on, man. Everything.
And if your stuff gets stolen, what happens?
We have to start all over.
Yeah. And the trauma out here, right? Because out here...
And your stuff gets stolen a lot, right? People lose their stuff and stuff gets stolen?
There's, usually people from Denver come up.
It's usually different from the areas around here. I mean, we have our own little clan of sneak thieves, and we know who they are. And so we keep them at arm's bay. And most of them are young kids, so we're trying to mentor them and show them the right way. And they need opportunities, like she was saying, jobs. So we try to give them those opportunities instead of being forced into doing that route. But yeah, most of them come from outside the area, and they think that this is because it's money. This is Boulder. This is money. This is a soft area, and they can come with their thugonomics and just push their way through here and then go back home, take what they want.
So they think that the people without homes here are wealthy.
It's just, on the street, it's whatever. They just think they can come push their mindset.
Yeah,
out
but
here.
about once a week, there's, new faces.
Interesting. Have you lost your IDs? Have you had it stolen?
Numerous times out here.
And you got to start it all over?
Yeah. For me, yeah.
It's like Candyland.
Yeah.
You slide all the way back down. Yeah. Start over.
For me, in the last 2 years, I've lost my ID 6 times. It's been stolen from me.
I think we need to get that tattooed on your leg.
No, it's been stolen from me. My ID's been stolen from me 6 times.
Your identity has been stolen?
Yeah.
6 times in 2 years?
Altogether.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So
that's why I have an issue now with even trying to get a phone and establish who I am, and so yeah, I'm so over it. I don't carry a phone anymore. I don't have a watch.
You have it.
I changed my name. I'm good with who I am now. I'm the invisible ghost. and I'm off the grid, and I'm totally good with that because they, you know what I mean? They can have who I once was. Because to me, that's not what life is. That's material shit, man.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And that's the sad thing is they, you know, out here, you see the worst in people, man. You really do. When
You guys, you do want to get housing though, right? Didn't we talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're going to need an ID for that, aren't you?
Absolutely.
He has his ID.
Yeah, we're all paper compliant. But
you're now have another one?
Oh, yeah, we had to go through some stuff. Oh, yeah, we had to go through some stuff to get there. But yeah, we're all paper compliant now. But boy, was it a struggle to get there.
You guys on the housing list?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're there. It's just now with the cuts and everything, you know, they just told us that nothing's moving. Everything's
looks
on hold.
a little grim for a little bit.
It's grim and on hold. So it's just prayers. You know, you got to pray and just hope that, you know, when God's time, it's going to be God's time. And if that's the route he wants for us, then that's the way we'll go. If not, you know what I mean? We're nomads. We'll figure it out. You know, if it's not the truck, it'll be the next episode. It'll be a van or an RV. It's always an upgrade with us. It might be this, you know, the electric scooters and a tent and a hammock for the summer, and then we'll upgrade to a van. You know, you never know. We'll figure it out. God's always provides for us. So that's the thing. We don't ever stress. I don't ever stress about life like that anymore. I don't. You know.
What do you guys do all day?
For the most part, it seems like I feel like a compass being pulled in all directions.
Yeah.
We're usually helping everyone else from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep.
Yeah, we're usually
Kerby,
just like
Beth, got any water?
doing
got
something
any
for
food?
somebody.
Can I be in a ride? Can you help us? You know what I mean? It's like mom and dad. It's the mentorship. Hey, can you come talk to me because I'm down on my feelings? Or it's always something all the time like that with us.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you guys love that.
Oh yeah, I do. It's service to God. I absolutely love that because I was once a bad man. So for me, this is paying it forward. So I am up crack of the dawn with tail wagging, ready to go. I'm a morning person. She's not. So I'm ready to go. She's like, no. So, and it's a little overwhelming sometimes because sometimes we have to remember that we have a relationship together and we need time alone. And I have to remind them that, hey, guys, you know, I love all of you guys, but we need time as a, you know, a couple alone from you guys. So, and they all start crying like they're children, like we're breaking their hearts. It's horrible. It really is. It's traumatic.
Well, probably, I think the sentiment for most of the viewers would be thank you for doing that and taking care of those kids. What do you think, as a group here, we could put forward? I mean, we're doing this video and we're going to start talking and having discussions with folks. But what could we rally people to, like, get people to clean up the town? Could we, like, what is there anything that we could do as a group?
Community service.
You know, I think this is the thing. The only way to bridge the gap out here, you're going to have to go old school. You're going to have to go barbecues. You're going to have to go days in the park. You're going to have to interest people out here because out here, they ain't got nothing. And you kind of have to entice them to come and meet you and talk to you. So the best way is food because we're starving out here. You ain't got nothing. You say, hey, man, you want to come to the park? Big ass free barbecue. What? Shoot. You see what we do when we do that? How many people flock to the barbecue, right? Hey, Kerby, I heard there was a barbecue. I ain't got nothing, though, man. It doesn't matter. Come eat, bud. That's what we said. Free barbecue, right? And you saw how many people come. That's the secret. That's how you open up the doors. You got to, right? My great mama said the best way through a man's heart is what? Through his stomach. That applies, I think, to everyone. And barbecue and Frisbee. Then you can get out there and then now you're playing, right? And cornhole, Frisbee, and you're playing in the park. You know, you're getting to know people. I think that's that connection that I think it starts with food and a barbecue, man. It really does because how we meet people. That's how we meet people, man. That's what works for us. That's our secret. Yeah. When we come to towns, we go to the parks. That's how we start. Parks and libraries for us. When we get to know the people, we sit, we watch, we get to know people, and we start talking, and people start regulating and towards us. And yeah, before we know it, we have little clans around us.
I'm now envisioning you just driving around with your nose out, following the barbecue smell.
Yes. The nose knows. Yes.
There's a gathering here somewhere.
Yes. The nose knows. The big snoz knows.
Oh, that's funny.
What would you want people that are homed to know about how their perception of you impacts you?
How the people would know. I'm trying to think how I'm going to answer this. How they would impact me.
Their perception of people that are unhomed.
When they look down at you as a second-class citizen, how does that make you feel? What would you say to them? If you had a chance to make them understand how that makes you feel, what would you say to them to make them understand how you feel?
That everybody has a story. You know, some people are just down on their luck. There's a lot of people out here with different backgrounds. Yeah, we're all human beings. So.
Well, that's my thing too. We're all human. And you know what? This is the thing. Poverty can infect all of us at any time. You know, I've been up, I've been down. I had a life once. I had a home. I had a job. I was in society. I functioned like a blue collar man once, you know, and then circumstances in life happened and I became homeless and it traumatized me and I haven't been able to restart, you know, and that's as simple as that. You know, I'm not addicted to drugs or any of those aspects. Okay. I'm just down on my luck.
Yeah.
Okay. But the perception is because I live on the street and I live in my car. Oh my God, I must be down on doing drugs and drinking. And he's got to be in some kind of evil, dirty way. Right. But no, if you were to even watch me and know who I was, you'd see that every Sunday I go to church. You'd see that, you know what I mean? I'm out here on the street taking care of the youth and trying to talk to the, you know, community and the sheriffs and make a bridge between the two to help us. I'm out here fighting as a crusader to get restrooms and access to things that we need. You know, I'm trying to be that voice out here like we're supposed to and be that mentorship that we need to have, you know, to set an example. And that's what it is. We need to set an example. We're all humans. We're all on this rock. And we're all brothers and sisters, whether we like to admit it or not. That's the bottom line. Why? Because that man upstairs said so. That's all I got to say on that, really.
And we better wrap up because food's about to wrap up.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming in or coming out.
Yeah, beautiful day today.
Yeah. And I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys. Oh, Kerby's starting to smell barbecue.
Oh, man. It smells good. Don't you? You don't smell barbecue chicken or something?
I don't.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm vegan, though, so I can't smell it
yeah, that's
anymore.
right. Your nose is burned out. I'm sorry.
I can smell broccoli, but
broccoli.
no one's cooking broccoli.
Nobody's cooking my broccoli and cheese.
I don't eat cheese.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll explain it to you sometime.
Yeah, I'm
it's
so confused.
Yeah, it's just like you have this like short list.
I want to know how you're so happy eating so miserably. Because I'm confused. Yeah. Oh.